Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling. And man, I really appreciate you guys making some time out of your day to spend with me and check the video out. I always really appreciate that. And guys, today we're going to be doing some speculating, or I'm going to be doing some speculating. I definitely want to hear your guys' opinion as well. But anyway, this past week, Bassmaster, they had their annual Elite Series meeting up at Lake Champlain to sort of go over things for the next year and any rule changes. And obviously at the top of everybody's mind is what they're going to do about the cheater box situation, the spotlighting situation that's taken over the sport. We've heard rumors rampant about that. So I'm just sort of going to give you guys maybe my prediction a little bit about it, and obviously be curious to see what you guys think about it as well. Also, guys, real quick, I just wanted to show you, I don't know if you've seen it on the video yesterday, but we finally came out with my new Blaukat throwback jig. A lot of you guys are familiar with my Blaukat old school jig. We had some production issues and some supply issues with the company I was working with before, and I partnered with Cumberland Lures to design the Blaukat throwback jig, which is an unbelievable improvement over the last jig, even though that was an awesome jig, the old school jig, but we've made some good improvements. And if you guys want to check these out, they got them at Tackle Warehouse now. They sold out yesterday, the first day they came out, but they're going to have some new stock in, but I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys want to get some there. So much appreciated. Okay guys, anyway, they had the Bassmaster Elite Series meeting last week up at Lake Champlain, and the thing that I want to talk about here is the possibility about the rule changes they're going to have on spotlighting for bass. Now there's probably some other stuff they've talked about, some other rule changes, because we all know that there's been a lot of rule violations this past year on the Elite Series, so I'm really curious to see what they're going to do as far as cracking down on that a little bit. But anyway, guys, here's a couple different things that I see happening. First of all, anything short of banning forward-facing sonar from the Elite Series is a half measure, and I consider it a fail on the part of Bassmaster. But there's a lot of factors involved in this as far as, you know, how people are motivated to continue allowing this technology to destroy the sport. There's some agendas behind it that are real not clear, or there's not very much transparency about them. But anyway, I really see two different things coming out of it when they finally announce any type of a rule change. I do think they're going to have some type of a rule change. I find it hard to believe that with all the outrage and lost memberships that they've gotten from, you know, having spotlighting as the main way to catch fish on the Elite Series, that they're not going to address that. So two different scenarios that are probably going to take place here. I think one of the things they're either going to do, or it may be both, it may be one of the two or both, they're either going to limit the inches of screen size you have, because right now, guys, you can have 50,000 feet of screen inches if you want to. And so I look for them to have some type of a reduction in screen size that basically keeps the guys just having 2 units on the console and 2 up front, which is ridiculous that they even have 4 to begin with. That's one possible rule change. And the second rule change is some type of a reduction in the number of spotlighting transducers, and they'll probably just limit it to 1 spotlight, which doesn't do anything because they're still going to catch their bass spotlight, and it's not going to change a dang thing. So both of those don't mean anything in the picture of any type of change that we're going to see as far as the sport moving forward. There's not going to be any change whatsoever on it. So the thing about this is, like, you know, we're all waiting to see. We all really do not know how this is going to go down. We don't know, you know, what their motivation is. But here's one thing that I would suggest, and one thing that I would encourage Bassmaster to do so they can satisfy a lot of different situations. First of all, the tackle manufacturers in this country and a lot of the retailers, they have been hurt by forward-facing sonar. Sales are down, you know, across the traditional bass fishing genre of lures, and which accounts for the majority of their revenue. Because how much money can you make off some ball head jigs and forward-facing sonar minnows? And that's about all these guys throw anymore out there. So from that standpoint, if there was a concerted effort amongst the retailers and tackle manufacturers to go to Bassmaster and say, look, you know, this is killing us. You guys are killing us by allowing spotlighting to be legal. What if we subsidized you to offset any loss that you had from the loss of the electronic companies' partnerships or sponsorships you have? Therefore, you know, it would still be profitable for them, because obviously at this point, here again, this is speculation on my point. I'm not trying to state anything as fact here. This is simply speculation. That's, to me, is why it hasn't been done, is because there's money behind it. That's why we saw the Alabama rig got banned, for the same reasons that spotlighting should get banned, because the press release that Bassmaster put out on Alabama rig is that they wanted to maintain the tradition of the sport, and they feel that just using a lure with one hook on it is the traditional way. The same thing could be said about spotlighting, but since the Alabama rig didn't subsidize them with all these sponsorships, there was no reason for them to keep it. So that's one way that it could change, and obviously that way it would change it, but it's not changing it for the right reason. Bassmaster needs to change it for the right reason. They need to go to the electronic companies and say, look guys, we love your product, we love partnering with you guys. We love to see your 2D sonar, your down imaging and side imaging. We love that type of electronics, in our tournaments, but we can't have any more forward-facing sonar. It's destroying the sport. It's taking away all of the intrinsic value and the mystery and the magic of the sport and the heritage of the sport. And it's undermining, a level playing field. Some people can afford it, some people can't. It's making traditional bass fishing skills that the superstars in the sport have taken decades to hone. All that skill and the art form that they worked for decades to acquire is now worthless. It's worthless because look at the top 10 in Angler of the Year. All of them are in their early 20s. That's unheard of in the sport. And all the hammers out there at the bottom of the list. So, by doing that, by going for that, would not be for the right reason. But anyway, guys, I look for, us to hear something from them about any day, keeping my fingers crossed that they're going to do the right thing. But I don't hold out a lot of hope for that, just from, what I've seen in the past as far as the actions, but maybe they'll surprise us. So regardless, guys, we'll keep hammering away on it. If they do, institute a half measure that doesn't mean anything, we'll keep pressuring and putting the foot on the pedal to get this made illegal in the tournaments, just like they did with jet boats, just like they did with Alabama rigs, just like they did with elevated platforms, just like they did with not being able to put gas out, just like they did with not being able to get out of your boat to drag it over a sandbar, just like they did for, a ton of different reasons that things are illegal for no different reason than that. So anyway, guys, let me know what y'all think about it. We'll talk later.